Part 4. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 31. Chapter 31 You Call. After the training was over and they were disbanded, Orochimaru left as if nothing had happened. After bidding farewell to Mikoto, Napeki and Satoru quietly returned to the river. Wu, what's the matter? What did Ashimaru teacher tell you just now? Rope Tree held back all afternoon and couldn't hold back anymore. What he was curious about was what Orochimaru said. It's nothing, the teacher said that I will be allowed to participate in his ninjutsu research project later. Wu waved his hand and said nonchalantly. Speaking of which, the teacher just wants to find a free coolie. The so-called research assistant is just a hard worker with sample delivery equipment to help run errands. Then the authorship of the research results is thanks to the teacher. For it, Rope Tree is at a loss. It sounds like a lot of hard work. Is the study of ninjutsu like this? I'll talk about that later. The teacher's original ninjutsu are all snakes and snakes. Looking at them makes people tremble. I have to persuade him to change his style. Satoru ground his teeth, and then told Shenshu about the purpose of keeping him. Shenshu, you have the lineage of the Qianshao clan and the Uzumaki clan, and theoretically you may inherit Mudun, but even the super physical strength and vitality of the two clans are not obvious, right? Hearing this topic, Shenshu's face became depressed. Yeah, at least my sister has powerful medical ninjutsu. Grandma once said that that talent may come from grandpa's special physique. But I neither have the talent to become a medical ninja, nor have I inherited Mudun Sweji. The Uzumaki clan has very strong vitality, which manifests itself in the form of strong physical strength and a lot of chakra, but it's not that exaggerated to me. Nakoki pointed to his brown hair. Grandma said that if it is red hair, it means that the blood of the Uzumaki family is dominant. My sister and I are inherited from different generations. In fact, the blood of the Thousand Hands clan and the Uzumaki clan are only a quarter. Now this is considered normal. Well, that's true, but even so, your chakra amount is still much higher than that of ordinary people. Thousand Hands and Whirlpool are also distant relatives, and their bloodlines have the characteristic of strong vitality. Strictly speaking, your bloodline in terms of physique is more than a quarter. Enlightenment nodded. The inheritance of transgenerational inheritance made the lineage of Nakoki and Tsunade very subtle, physical strength and chakra were fine, but Mutun was not passed down. If I can strengthen your body strength and further guide your blood power, what do you think? Huh? Really? Before Wu could finish speaking, Nakoki was already excited. This period of joint training with Wu and Uchiha Mikoto made Nakoki less confident about his talent. If Satoru could really do such a thing, he might be able to catch up with them. It's okay to strengthen the body. I have experience, but the matter of guiding the blood requires your further cooperation and testing. Satoru calmly slapped Naoki's excited paw away, and took half a step back. I am so much younger than you, but my physical fitness is even better than yours. Body tempering technique is one of the reasons. But the body tempering technique used on you can't be as effective as I use it myself, but as my strength improves, there is still a chance to be stronger in the future. Wow! Enlightenment! You are really amazing. Shenshu did notice that Wu's physical strength is very strong, but he ignored Wu's age. This problem will always occur after getting along with Wu for a long time. When does it begin? Let's do it now. First strengthen your body, the matter of blood, let's talk about it in the next step. Satoru took the joyful Naoki to the place where Mat Dai was strengthened last time, and drew a magic circle according to the last specification. Dai has recently gained fame, relying on his super attack power to complete many difficult tasks one after another, and has already been promoted to Chunin. While making preparations, Satoru silently thought. In this way, Dai's chances of survival should be higher, and now, we need to increase Rope Tree's chances of survival. Satoru had no idea when and what kind of accident would happen on the battlefield. Therefore, even if you know that Nakoki will die in the detonator trap, if you don't know the time and place, it will be useless. Strengthening the resistance of rope tree itself is the best way to save the life of this cheap brother. Although the power of the trap is unknown, Wu can't do much, he can only do his best and obey the destiny. If Naoshu couldn't survive like this, then Wu couldn't do more. As for why he exposed his secrets to buy insurance for Shenshu, it's better to deal with hot-blooded idiots like Dai and Naoki than to team up with those fine guys. The situation on the battlefield is changing rapidly, and there is a reliable companion to take care of it. It is not a concept at all to fight alone. The mages are crispy in the early stage. In the afterglow of the setting sun, brilliant purple light rises from the mountains. Enchanting body tempering technique, success. Snapped. The magic circle collapsed into scattered arcane fragments and disappeared slowly, and the rope tree in the center slowly opened its eyes. It feels strange. Shenshu squeezed his arm in shock. This is my arm. I feel like I can beat two previous me. It's just the illusion of a sudden increase in the body, it's not that exaggerated. Satoru waved his hand, motioning Nakoki to stand up. Come on, let me practice with you, at least before tomorrow. You have to get familiar with the discomfort caused by physical enhancement. And Dai is different. Dai, who specializes in body art, has a very strong control over his body, so he can easily control his body after the enchantment and tempering body art is over, and take the opportunity to break through in one go. But Shenshu doesn't have this ability, he still needs to go through training, otherwise it will be like this. Whoosh. Wow. Boom. Enlightenment looked at the rope tree with a dark face, trying too hard to jump up, and flew directly over his head, dancing and hitting the ground. Hey, didn't I say you have to get used to it, and you still put in so much effort? Shenshu got up from the ground in a daze, and stood carefully. He, I was so excited, I didn't control it well, I must not, snapped. Zishu wanted to move forward, but unsurprisingly lost his balance and fell down. It's over. Enlightenment. I can't walk anymore. With a mournful face, Naoshu stood up carefully again. When will we be able to fight? Wu shook his head helplessly. Seeing that Dai had mastered it so quickly before, he thought that ordinary people would not be so exaggerated even if they would not get used to it. Now it seems that 10% of the body's all-round strengthening is really not something ordinary people can adapt to. Then, we can only be ruthless. Satoru showed an evil smile, and Naoki trembled violently when he saw it. What bad things are you thinking? Since you can't get used to it in a short time, I'll hit you until you get used to it in a short time. Wu he smiled and squeezed his fist, making a click sound. Brother, this is for your own good, otherwise, you won't be able to hold the bowl and chopsticks for dinner, isn't it bad? There is still 1 hour before dinner time, I will let you get used to it as soon as possible, he. No. Don't come here. Shenshu watched Wu come over with an evil smile on his face, sweating profusely. How could he run if he couldn't walk steadily? I called. You are screaming. You are screaming with a broken throat, bah. What a terrible line, watch it. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziyu. Chapter 32. Chapter 32 Guardian's Secret Spell. After beating Shenshu violently, he watched with satisfaction that his brother regained control of his body with his help and fled away. Wu returned home satisfied. Discussed the Orochimaru matter with his father, Mito Minion, and the father and son basically reached an agreement. That's fine, Orochimaru is still a trustworthy person. Mito Minion has a good sense of Orochimaru, the most proud disciple of the third generation of Hokage. I didn't expect him to notice this a long time ago, but fortunately he has no malicious intentions. Knowing Orochimaru's interest, Might Minion should resonate with Satoru, but he didn't expect him to ask Satoru to assist him in his research. The consultant thought for a long time before making this decision. Orochimaru is now Wu's teacher, this identity is determined, and Orochimaru will not harm Wu. Moreover, he had no reason to harm Satoru, the way he proposed seemed a bit embarrassing to Might Minion. That's right, as a teacher but asking for the assistance of the students, and still assisting vigorously, Orochimaru should be a little embarrassed. Originally, this was nothing. It was quite normal for students to participate in the teacher's research. The problem was that enlightenment was too young. And, as he said, in this way, with me and his cover-up, even Danzo will not pay too much attention to you. Might Minion thought of what Sato mentioned, and Orochimaru told him, the secret research project of Gen. Enlightenment, you don't need to worry about the root cause now. That project is indeed something that our village has been researching for a long time, but there is no result. Even if there is a problem with Danzo's acting style, his loyalty to the village is unquestionable. That experiment was also for the village, but it has hit a bottleneck recently, and we are ready to give up. This is the last effort. Sighing, Yan glanced at Wu thoughtfully, and exhorted. The most important thing for you now is to get through this war, don't think too much about other things. Okay, but today Orochimaru, the teacher said that the Jonin has already started to go to the battlefield, is the situation so bad? Ah, that's true, so you have to follow Orochimaru to exercise well. Maybe you can't wait until the actual combat exercise test is over, and set off with the new ninjas. Might Minion pushed his glasses, his expression serious. Now the task entrustment in the village, the daily part has been reduced a lot, and the escort task is gradually increasing. This is inseparable from the increasingly tense situation at the border. Businessmen who need to travel between countries are the most affected, and they are also the type of people who are most willing to spend money to buy peace. In the past, they had private guards, but now the private guards are obviously unable to meet their guard requirements, and hiring ninjas has become their best choice. But, now that the borders of various countries are tense, such missions are basically possible to encounter enemy ninjas, right? Enlightenment came to his senses, doesn't that mean? That's right, this type of mission is basically a B-level mission, or even higher, and it is impossible for the village to give up such a mission. Therefore, you, led by a Jonin, are the best candidates to perform this kind of mission. Might Minion nodded and said with a smile. As for this type of mission, we encourage you to participate. This is the best rehearsal before the war. With Jonin leading the team, the scale of encountering the enemy will not be large. 1 month later, many Zongnin will be mobilized to participate in the defense of the village. At that time, there will be insufficient manpower to complete such tasks, and you will need to step up. Therefore, 1 month later, it's time for you to intervene in the war in advance. So that's the case, the war doesn't happen overnight, and all signs need to be dealt with carefully. He nodded in understanding, and had a little more admiration for his father's work. Old man, dealing with so many complicated affairs every day, and finding a proper coping strategy, the senior management is also very hard. Might Minion stared blankly at his son, who seemed to have suddenly changed his gender, and was a little unable to react. Why, I'm not used to caring about you once in a while. Wu Xiao's face was a little hot, he hurriedly finished his meal, dropped the bowl and ran upstairs. Yan heard his voice. Hurry up and eat, you have to work overtime again, don't stay up late. Hey, Satoru has grown up. With a slightly sore nose, Yan took off his foggy glasses and pulled the tablecloth to wipe them. I will care about people, I feel like I raised a fake son before, he. Back upstairs, Wu didn't sit at the desk, but threw himself on the bed. Old man, hey, I can be sentimental too. Knowing that he will be on the battlefield in a month, Wu thought that his mature mentality after more than 30 years of life finally fluctuated violently. There will be two completely different lives whether they have experienced war or not. Not as innocent as the children in the ninja world, Satoru has experienced a longer and more comfortable peace, and he is more in awe of war. But, it's not fear. The next month is the final preparation. Now that it's here, war is inevitable. Then, we need to prepare a few more trump cards that are more suitable for war. With his amazing learning ability, Wu has almost mastered the war skills that Orochimaru taught them. Arcane Wisdom, an auxiliary spell, played a big role in it. The current enlightenment basically has spells for attack, displacement, acceleration, life-saving, and detection, but it still lacks a spell for hiding or long-distance running. Among the spell principles recorded in the Book of Medivh, there are very high-end hidden spells. Invisibility, the kind that is completely invisible, but Wu has not yet come into contact with the principle of this part of the spell. But, unlike ordinary mage inheritance, Wu's inheritance is from the lineage of the guardians of Tirisfal. Therefore, there is a secret spell unique to the lineage of the guardian, which Wu can just learn now. And this will be Wu's biggest hole card for a long time. I've been envious of this ability for a long time, wahahaha. Wu opened the Book of Medivh, which was spreading more radiant arcane brilliance, and after the reading progress reached 40%, Wu came into contact with the casting principle of this spell. Form transformation, Raven. Originally, I sealed this spell in a dish, but a young apprentice took it from my Karajan, so he also learned it. The Book of Medivh recorded a lot of complaints, which made Wu very speechless. Everyone in the world thinks that this kind of shape transformation belongs to the secret of the guardian lineage. In fact, this kind of transformation technique has no duration limit, and it can act instantly without limitation. It's not that mysterious. As for why it's a raven, it caused some apparent patent disputes with the druid's transformation spells. It's just because the raven is said to be able to predict the future, but I tried it, and it didn't work. It doesn't matter if you want to become the Siamese cat that the cat owner in Kel'Thuzad likes, as long as you want it, you can change it into whatever you want. Maybe you plan to turn into a bear and pretend to be a druid, but remember, you are not as resistant to beating as they are. Woo. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 33. Chapter 33 The Basics of Enchanting. Satoru was very satisfied with this transformation spell called Morphological Transformation. This is what the guardian lineage should have. Regardless of what Medivh said so lightly, judging from the structure of the spell, without the secret arcane knowledge passed down by the guardian lineage, there is really no way to successfully cast the spell. If there are exceptions. That's the guardian dragon, right? As Titan creations, they also have similar spells, but they usually solidify a humanoid form and let it go. Other creatures are not worthy of a powerful dragon to change. That's right, solidifying the form, so as to obtain the ability of instant casting, no time limit, and no action limit, is almost equivalent to the transformation technique of druids. It's just that the principle is not the same, and the effect is also different. Well, at the beginning, you can only choose one solidified form. Satoru nodded in understanding while analyzing the mantra. If it is a solidified form, obviously if it is a flying unit, no wonder Medivh chose Raven. In the ninja world, crows, which are similar to ravens, are also loved by many ninjas. Flying at night is inconspicuous, widely distributed, and it is normal to appear anywhere. As an occasional scavenging bird, appearing on the battlefield would not make people feel awkward, on the contrary, it would be considered to bring good luck. Although Satoru wanted to complain about the different attitude towards crows, but the ninja world was like this, and he couldn't help it. Raven, although it is not a crow, but it is just a circle bigger, almost. Tisk, the owl is pretty good, but it's a pity that it's colorblind. Wu muttered a few times, but still took the raven as his first solidified form. Act in the form of a raven, whether it's scouting, hiding, or long-distance raids, it's fine. The analysis and practice of the mantra will take about a week. During this period, Satoru still needs to find a way to deal with Orochimaru. If he didn't throw something to calm Orochimaru, or to whet his appetite, he didn't think Orochimaru's patience would be so good. How could he have so much time to do research with Orochimaru? That would greatly slow down his progress in becoming stronger. Therefore, it is best to throw out some theoretical basis and let Orochimaru study it first. Satoru fell into deep thought. The power of arcane magic can never be leaked to Orochimaru. This is the foundation for enlightenment to settle down and live. Unless he achieves the realm of Great Master in the future, he can consider truly showing it in the ninja world. Tomorrow, Nakoki's physical changes will definitely not be hidden from Orochimaru, but in order to save Nakoki's life, this has to be done. That is to say, the existence of enchanting body tempering technique is likely to be discovered by Orochimaru, then. Satoru thought for a long time, and finally made up his mind. Then, as the most unlikely and safest magic faction, the basic knowledge of the enchanting department will be handed over to Orochimaru. Of course, this will be the ninjutsu version, in terms of applying special effects to items, which is exactly what ninjutsu is not good at. In this way, in the name of this, I can use the power of Orochimaru to accomplish what I can hardly accomplish alone. Arcane construct. Enlightenment's eyes flashed with arcane brilliance, and the arcane structure, the most famous one should be the librarian in Karajan, the curator. The library is only open to guests. And there are many more powerful arcane structures. After all, the curator's role is not to fight. This is an artificial intelligence robot created by arcane magic, and the technology used to create it is the high-end technology of the enchantment system. If you add the various applications of the evocation system, you can even create various elemental structures. But the high-end technology of the enchanting department is really very difficult, and the time for Wu to learn arcane knowledge is too short. This kind of thing is usually made by a famous archmage for more than 10 years or even decades. Even with the help of the Book of Medivh, it is too late for Wu to study on his own because there is still war. Then, with the help of Orochimaru, maybe it is really a good idea. The mysterious connection between chakra and arcane power makes it impossible for Orochimaru to use what Satoru researches, but Satoru can definitely use what Orochimaru researches. Very well, it's settled. Enlightenment took out a new notebook, and began to record the basic knowledge of the enchantment system, as well as the revision of ninjutsu. Early the next morning, as soon as the confession was confirmed with his father, Orochimaru followed the agreement and came to visit early. As a matter of course, Mightyman Yan solemnly confessed to Orochimaru that he must ensure Satoru's safety, and only reluctantly agreed to this matter. Afterwards, Mightyman took out a thick notebook, moved his wrist subconsciously, and handed it to Orochimaru. The basics of enchanting. Ashimaru, since you are Wu's teacher and we have reached this cooperation, there are some things you must know. This notebook is the version that Wu finished writing last night and handed over to his father to transcribe. The version written by Wu himself was naturally handed over to Dad to study. As for the origin of the notes, Wu only said that he had researched it himself, and his father had to believe it if he didn't believe it. Of course, the strange technique developed by Wu has already given Yan an inoculation in advance. This is the content recorded on the ancient stone tablet I encountered during a mission in the past. At that time, I only thought the words on it were mysterious, so I recorded it. Mito Minyan looked serious, reciting the script that Satoru taught him. The steel has been damaged in the battle. It took me a lot of effort to decipher these words, so here they are. Yan pushed his glasses, and acted like he was an intellectual, and deciphering words was a normal operation. This is what Satoru and I have been studying for a long time, and of course it's just the foundation. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, Yan looked at the treasured Orochimaru and said softly. You're right. I'm getting older, and I'm also a consultant. I have a lot of affairs, and I'm getting more and more powerless with these research things. Wu likes to keep a low profile since he was a child, but I think this is in line with the mentality of being a ninja and, although he likes research, this kind of thing is not suitable for publicity yet. So that's how it is. Orochimaru nodded cautiously after a cursory glance at the beginning, with a serious face. This kind of thing really cannot be disclosed until it is thoroughly researched, otherwise it will fall into the hands of ambitious people, and the consequences for the world will be completely unknown. Yan stroked his beard and nodded in agreement. Yes, therefore, this arduous task is entrusted to you and enlightenment. This is not only a father, but also a high-level advisor to Konoha. Secret Commission. Master Hokage, I will report to the police. I believe that your efforts will be of great help to the future of the village. Orochimaru's vertical pupils dilated slightly, and his mood was extremely excited. He didn't think so much at first, but who knew that behind the enlightenment was such a treasure? Sure enough, he is indeed the teacher's comrade in arms, Konoha's high-level advisor, and he hides his secrets. Master Advisor, please rest assured, just leave it to us. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 34. Chapter 34 Strategy against Uchiha. Orochimaru was fooled by Mr. Consultant, took his leave first and left. He wanted to carefully collect basics of enchanting and start research after finishing today's teaching. Goto and Yan looked at each other as Orochimaru left. He really believed it? Yan pushed his glasses. Of course, these are all routines, although the routines are vulgar, they work. Wu glanced at his father's glasses, and suddenly missed his own pair of black-rimmed glasses back then. Routine, the corners of Yan's eyes twitched. Did I also get tricked by you? How can it be? Gaku smiled awkwardly. Then what? The report from the third Hokage-sama. Look at it, Dad. I am not familiar with the temper of Hokage-sama. Daejeon, most likely he will also be tricked. Mitaman snorted, took out the original version that Satoru gave him, and sighed. So, you kid actually did such a big thing without making a sound. Is it really your idea? Of course, or can there be only so much? Wu has a serious face. There are many people who are more talented than me. What is this? That's right. Yan thought for a while, then nodded. When Sun Jian was your age, he had already mastered 3 types of chakra changes. I'm just being humble. Satoru set off for the training site to meet Nawaki and Mikoto, while Mitaman Yan looked at Satoru's back and shook his head slightly. In your team, there is actually a Uchiha. But fortunately, not a core member. Going back to the room, he recopied Satoru's manuscript Basics of Enchanting. Yan rubbed his wrists, and brought the manuscript to Hokage's office. If it is not a formal discussion, Hiruza Sarutobi of the 3rd Hokage usually handles affairs in his office. The 2 high-level advisors and Naruto assistant Danzo usually discuss open issues with Hokage in the conference hall. Relatively speaking, the office is a more private place. Rijan, cough 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 achoo. Oh, it's Yan, really, after all these years, you still have no resistance to this wonderful smell. The 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzawa was reviewing documents with a big pipe in his mouth. When he saw Yan walked in and was choked, he showed a smug smile. Cough, you don't open the window or the door, are you going to suffocate? With veins throbbing on Yan's forehead, he walked quickly to the window and pushed it open. If it's Xiao-chun who came, you've already been scolded. Do you want me to go back and tell Lake Biwa? Well. When Sarutobi Hiruzen heard his wife's name, he shrank his neck subconsciously, pulled out the pipe, and changed the subject. You came here to find me, what's the matter? Two things. The first. Handed a notebook to Hiruzen, told Orochimaru the version to Sarutobi Hiruzen again, without changing his face, he said. I don't have the energy to study these things now, Wu and Orochimaru will be responsible for the following work. This is not an urgent matter, so I told them to focus on the immediate battle. You are still as cautious as ever, Yan. Hiruzen nodded with a smile. He naturally had a lot of trust in his disciple Orochimaru. And Yan arranged it this way, which means that the benefits of this matter have a part of his lineage. Your arrangement is very safe, and I agree. Wu, that child can get the approval of you and Orochimaru. It seems that I, Konoha, have another young genius, haha. Rijan is very convinced of Yan's evaluation. His old classmate and comrade in arms has always been a serious person, even for his own son. His evaluation is absolutely objective and reliable. Well, this thing may have a lot of room for development, it depends on how much young people can do. Yan smiled, and then his face became serious. The second thing, Hizen, Satoru's team, besides him, is Nawaki and Uchiha Mikoto. This Uchiha Mikoto. Are you worried about the strategy against Uchiha proposed by Danzo yesterday? Hiruzen Sarutobi put away the basics of enchanting notebook, intending to study it carefully later. When he heard Yan's words, he reacted. Are you worried that strategy will affect Mikoto's child, and cause Orochimaru, Nawaki, and Satoru to be dissatisfied? Yes. Yan pulled a chair and sat down, pushed his glasses. That kid Naoki is fine. He has a relatively simple personality and doesn't think so much. Even if he thinks about it, as long as Mito-sama says something, it won't be a problem. But Wu, that kid has a very flexible mind. He and Mikan seem to have a good relationship. Thinking of Wu's concern for him last night, Yan's heart warmed up, and there was a smile on his face. I don't usually talk about that child, but I still care about my family and companions very much. Orochimaru should be the same. If my students are affected by this kind of thing, I think Orochimaru will also have opinions. Well, Orochimaru, I'll take care of it. Hiruzen Sarutobi thought for a moment. He had to admit that Yan's worry was justified. Ashimaru has been a delicate child since he was a child. He is even afraid of his companions being hurt, and some don't believe in the strength of his companions. Sighing, Hiruzen Sarutobi, as Orochimaru's teacher, has always been worried about Orochimaru while admiring him. Orochimaru's character is too easy to go to extremes. If he has a good relationship with the students, then the students' frustration because of the relationship in the village is likely to arouse his mood swings. Also, although Mikoto Uchiha has outstanding talent, she is not a core member of the Uchiha family, so she shouldn't be greatly affected, otherwise she wouldn't have that personality. Yan nodded, then frowned slightly. Nikai-zane, although we didn't explicitly reject Danzo's proposal, the scene of Kagami's bloody fight for the teacher is still vivid in my memory. Although Kagami has been away for more than 10 years, his peace-loving thoughts are still circulating among some members of the Uchiha clan. It may not be appropriate to customize an isolation strategy for the Uchiha clan. Hiruzen Sarutobi fell silent. Uchiha Kagami, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Mitaman N, Rejuvenation Koharu, Shimura Danzo, and Akimichi Tekase are members of the second-generation Hokage Senjutsu Monama's guards, and they have a lifelong friendship. Uchiha Mirror's will of fire is strong and pure. He has made a great contribution to the development of Konoha. Even the Uchiha clan has always been vigilant Senshou Fiima, and he has given him complete trust. Because he is one of the rare Uchiha people who is completely free from the shackles of narrow nationalism. In his eyes, the village and peace are things worth fighting for a lifetime. Originally, Uchiha Mirror might be able to become a bridge for the integration of the Uchiha clan and the village, but he died on the battlefield at the age of 25. For the village, this is not just a loss of elite jounin. For more than 10 years, Our policy towards Uchiha has not changed because of Kagami's legacy. Hirozuru Sarutobi took a puff of his pipe, and said lightly. I have always been looking forward to, among the Uchiha clan, there will be a strong person who can truly inherit the will of the mirror, but unfortunately, there is not yet. Jing's son's talent is not outstanding. Although he has inherited Jing's thoughts, he can't change anything without Jing's strength and status. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 35. Chapter 35 Uchiha Fugaku. Danzo is a firm executor of the teacher's will, and the root is the embodiment of his will. Therefore, at this time when the war is approaching, he will repropose the Uchiha strategy that is more severe than the teacher. Hiruzen knocked on his pipe, recalling the issue raised by Danzo, and gave a wry smile. Yeah, Yan said softly, if the Uchiha clan is allowed to go to the battlefield on a large scale, it will significantly increase the chance of opening the eyes of Sharingan, and at the same time, the military achievements they obtain will further improve the status of themselves and their families in the village. The emotions of the Uchiha clan are really full of unknowns, and on the battlefield, the consequences of such unknowns will be even more unpredictable. And if there is a kaleidoscope Sharingan among them. The words kaleidoscopic Sharingan made both Yan and Hiruzen silent. Back then, several Uchiha clan powerhouses who owned the kaleidoscope Sharingan fought for power and profit, causing great losses to the village. Therefore, the second generation of Naruto Senjutamona even specially dispatched a large number of Umbu members to monitor the Uchiha clan. Therefore, Danzo believes that the second generation of Hokage hates the Uchiha family very much. The Uchiha family is an untimely bomb and a huge hidden danger in the village. But Hirozuru Sarutobi, as the third Hokage, is not as radical as Danzo. He thinks that the second Hokage only did this because of the troubles of the Uchiha clan, and it is the same for other families to make troubles. Therefore, with the legacy of the Uchiha mirror, and after that time, the Uchiha family did not have a new kaleidoscope Sharingan in the peaceful era, and the policy towards the Uchiha family has not changed. Now, the Uchiha clan no longer has the kaleidoscope Sharingan, but if they are allowed to participate in the upcoming battle. Danzo's concern is not unreasonable, which is why we did not immediately veto it. Sarutobi Hiruzen is the third Hokage, and he can't suppress everything with strength like the first Hokage Senju Hashirama. He also can't be as intelligent, strong-handed, and ruthless when necessary as the second generation of Hokage Senshou Fumama. It's not the first time for him who is moderate, to hesitate on such a matter, and obviously it won't be the last time. Although Uchiha doesn't have the strong man of kaleidoscope Sharingan at present, their young patriarch, Uchiha Fugaku, has begun to show the demeanor of the leader of the younger generation. Sarutobi's eyes showed admiration. Uchiha deserves to be Uchiha. There are really many talents. Fuyu is only 16 years old this year. His reputation in the clan is already second only to the contemporary patriarch. He has already opened the Sanguya Sharingan, but he is stable, not as rebellious as other Uchihas, and his attitude towards the village has always been impeccable. But he is too restrained, and we cannot be sure whether he is a young careerist with deep thoughts, or a new generation with broad vision who inherits the thinking of the mirror. Hiruzen stuffed the pipe into his mouth and took a deep breath of smoke. I hope it's the latter. Uchiha is an important part of the village's strength. If it's not necessary, I want to observe again. Yes, I've also heard that although there is still a gap in strength, Uchiha Fugaku's reputation is even faintly approaching Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade. Mito Minion was silent for a moment, then spoke seriously. Danzo's strategy of completely isolating Uchiha is too radical. If it is implemented now, it will definitely arouse the suspicion of other families during the war. But Danzo's worries are justified, so it's better to make a compromise. A compromise, Hirozuru Sarutobi thought for a moment, glanced at his old friend who was known for his prudence, and said with a smile. Yan, this is a mature act of yours. Then, let's ask Xiao-chun to come over. After she has seen it, if there is no problem, then let's do it. The treatment of the Uchiha clan remains the same, but because the war is approaching, the members of the garrison must stay in the village as the main defensive force, and they are not allowed to go to the battlefield without orders. No one is allowed to apply for assistance from the security forces. Umbu will be responsible for this battlefield support. If Danzo has an opinion, let him carry it out. Umbu is dispatched, and Nebu will replace Umbu to monitor the Uchiha clan. Yes, the third Hokage-sama. At the end of the day's training, Orochimaru left Satoshi and Nakoki to discuss some matters, and Uchiha Mikoto went home first. She felt that today's rope tree has made great progress compared with yesterday, and it seems that teacher Dashimaru is also very surprised. Moreover, teacher Orochimaru's attitude towards Satoru has also changed. They are all geniuses, I have to work hard. There is nothing wrong with Mikan, because teacher Orochimaru has clearly told her that the three of them should have their own development direction besides basic training. Naoki, the oldest, has a straightforward and enthusiastic personality, and should tend to be aggressive. He has much more chakra than ordinary people, which also makes him competent for this style. Wu, who is the youngest, is very comprehensive, and his tactics and support are also first class. Therefore, he is more inclined to assist and assassinate. The elusive teleportation technique and a variety of special ninjutsu, as well as not weak physical skills, allow him to effectively deal with various situations. As for Mikoto, Ashimaru teacher pointed out that she has a strong illusion talent. At this age, without careful guidance from the clan, she can display that level of fireball skill, which shows that Mikan's chakra control is very strong. Before the Sharingan is opened, Mikoto's illusion talent is not weak. If she opens her eyes and cooperates with ninja skills, Mikoto will be an important assistant and support position in the team. Therefore, Orochimaru focuses on training Mikoto's tactical literacy and reaction ability, which are the qualities that an excellent phantom ninja must possess. For this reason, teacher Orochimaru handed her 3 scrolls, which recorded 3 relatively basic illusions. The art of the fox's heart, the art of Naruto's vision, and the art of magic. Mikan's next task is to practice these 3 illusions in addition to basic training. Mikoto is thinking, and has already entered the sphere of influence of the Uchiha clan. Mikoto is not a core member of the Uchiha, so she cannot enter the headquarters of the Konoha security force in the center. In the outlying residential area, Mikan saw members of the security team leading a patrol. Ah! That's Uchiha Fugaku is leading a patrol, and the members of the guard team with him are chanting. Vice Captain, the order just came down today. Although it is very important to preside over the defense of the village, what does it mean that we are strictly forbidden to fight? The defense of the village doesn't require so much combat power. Are we watching other families gain military merits in the village? Our Konoha is the defensive side, so it's right to be cautious. Uchiha Fugaku smiled and said with relief, "Don't be so sensitive. The third Hokage-sama is mature and prudent, so it's not surprising that he would make such an arrangement. Besides, the duty of our security force is to guard the village. If we are asked to go to the battlefield, doesn't it mean that the situation of the battle is unfavorable? I don't want that." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 36. Chapter 36 Fugaku and Mikoto. Brother Fu is really good. Mikoto looked at the smiling Uchiha Fugaku with admiration. Ever since I practiced shuriken by myself a few years ago, and when I met Brother Fu who gave me some pointers, he became her object of admiration. Strictly speaking, although Mikoto did not receive strong support from the clan, her first teacher was Fugaku Uchiha. As Uchiha Mikoto, whose parents are not ninjas, she normally goes to ninja school and learns the most common basic ninjutsu. The basic ninjutsu and ninja skills of the Uchiha clan can be learned by all members of the clan, but there is a difference between being guided and not being guided. Mikoto is totally unguided. But with Uchiha's name, outside, others don't care whether she is a core member of the clan. Uchiha, to some extent, is linked to genius. Therefore, Mikan was under a lot of pressure when she was young. Fortunately, she met Uchiha Fugaku, who was the first to discover Mikoto's talent. It is also Fugaku who helps Mikoto practice in his free time, which makes Mikoto's progress so fast. For this strong and gentle big boy of the same clan who is willing to guide her, Mikoto respected Fuyu as her elder brother when she was young. But Uchiha Fugaku couldn't do more. There were too many Uchiha geniuses. For someone like Mikoto who has no foundation, going to the core of the family is not a good thing. When Uchiha Fugaku officially joined the Konoha security force, there was no time to continue to guide Mikoto. Until now that he has made his mark and was promoted to vice captain, Mikan hasn't seen him for a long time. But unconsciously, Mikan didn't realize that as she got older, her admiration and reverence for Fuyu's elder brother seemed to ferment. Oh! Mikoto! Fuyu, who came over, saw Mikoto on the side of the road, was slightly taken aback, and showed a gentle smile. Long time no see, you've grown up, you've become an official ninja. Brother Fuyu, okay, long time no see. Seeing Fuyu greet her, Mikan blushed to the base of her neck. Then, you are busy, I'll go first. Fuyu looked at Mikoto, who suddenly turned and ran away in a daze, a little dazed. Ha! His subordinates stared at him delicately, and all complained. Vice Captain, what did you do to that little girl? I do not. He, understood, we won't say it. Uchiha Fugaku scratched his head with a wry smile. I just taught her some basic ninjutsu and ninja skills before, don't think too much about it. In fact, Uchiha Fugaku was a little surprised when he saw Mikoto for the first time. The cute little girl in the past has become a real ninja. He, Uchiha Fugaku, was not the type to be a good teacher. The reason why he taught Mikoto, who was still a little girl at that time, was not only because of the talent shown by the other party. It's also because Mikoto doesn't have the proud and supercilious character that most ordinary Uchiha people have. At that time, Fugaku had just experienced a fierce battle, opened Sharingan, and met the gentle and innocent Mikoto, which instantly eased his tense spirit. Fugaku felt that he was a little unclear about whether he wanted to protect this gentleness and innocence by not connecting Mikoto into the family through the Uchiha senior management. Mikan is very talented, but her parents are not ninjas, so they can't teach her the basics. I just watch her. Oh, I understand, I understand. The subordinates kept nodding, causing Fuyu's forehead to have blue veins. Enough is enough for me. Mikoto is a disciple of the third Hokage, the team of the genius Orochimaru. You should understand what this means. The subordinates stopped joking, and their faces became serious. That is to say, although that girl belongs to our Uchiha clan, she can go to the battlefield? Indeed. Fuyu nodded, and the arrangement for Uchiha Mikoto proved that the village's strategy for Uchiha should not have changed. The subordinates rioted. Then it seems that this time should be a normal defense transfer, Mikoto should give some support from the clan. That's right, the members of my Uchiha clan are the best everywhere. The talent that can be recognized by the vice captain, maybe she can open Sharingan early. Fuyu was a little embarrassed by the words of his subordinates. This support. Vice captain. This matter belongs to you. That's right, vice captain, just work hard. Leave the patrol work to us, deputy captain, go ahead. On Wu's side, he is coordinating with Orochimaru to conduct a comprehensive inspection of Nakoki's body. It's incredible, this solidified buff is the so-called enchantment. Orochimaru looked at Naoki with eyes full of desire to explore, which made Naoki shiver involuntarily. Old teacher, it seems a bit cold. Cough. Orochimaru coughed lightly, glanced at Wu Kuang's curled mouth, and raised his eyebrows. Enlightenment, this enchantment reminds me of a well-known technique in the ninja world. Ninja world? In other words, there is no such technique in the village. Orochimaru nodded. The Land of Thunder, Hidden Cloud Village, and the contemporary Raikage use a kind of ninjutsu called Thunder Chakra Mode. Ninjutsu? What's that? It was Naoki who asked the question. He knew ninjutsu and taijutsu, but he didn't understand ninjutsu. Ninjutsu, that is, not directly using ninjutsu to attack, but to assist and activate the body, so as to obtain extremely strong strength, speed, defense, and special techniques that use physical techniques to fight. The technique that Raikage secretly passed down is to use the Raikage chakra to greatly activate the body cells. Not only can it provide temporary gains, long-term practice will also greatly increase physical fitness, just like a weakened version of magic that can be superimposed countless times. However, that technique must continuously output lightning escape chakra, so it cannot be used by others. After giving Shenshu a popularization, Orochimaru didn't ask Satoru to help him strengthen it. For him, only what he has mastered can be trusted. Before he fully learns and understands magic, Orochimaru can observe the state of Naoki and Satoru. This technique should not be used by others. Before the research is completed, we don't know whether this strengthening method will affect future development. Orochimaru carefully inspected Naoki's body, and found nothing unusual. Satoru's chakra did not remain in Naoki's body, but only strengthened the muscles and bones. After a brief explanation, Orochimaru was anxious to go back and study basics of enchanting carefully, so he left first. Rope Tree, it's been almost a day, how do you feel? Of course Wu knew that there would be no questions, otherwise Mate Day would have discovered it long ago. No problem. Shenshu giggled, I've asked my sister to check it for me, it's very good. She also praised me for my great progress. I didn't tell her about the body tempering technique. How about it, be a friend? That's right. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 37. Chapter 37 Border Conflict. A month passed quickly. Orochimaru, who has obtained the basis of magic, is completely immersed in this wonderful knowledge that seems to be related to the existing ninjutsu, but seems to be a completely different system. Of course, as an excellent teacher, he did not delay the teaching of the three of them. On the contrary, because of paying more attention to the students, Orochimaru has put a lot of effort into it. The nature changes and shape changes of chakra, which would not have been encountered at this stage, were also taught to the three of them in advance by Orochimaru. In order to increase the chances of the lovely disciples surviving on the battlefield, Orochimaru's training for them can be described as harsh. The original chakra nature of Rope Tree is undoubtedly what he once displayed, water escape, and Mikoto is the fire escape that the Uchiha family generally has. And Wu. Although fire and water are relatively rare, there are many people who are born with dual attributes, and Orochimaru didn't feel too strange. Of course, any attribute that Satoru wants to simulate can be simulated. Fire and water are just for fire-type spells such as Pyroblast and water-making spells. If he needs to rub lightning bolts, he can also find a way to simulate the thunder attribute. It's just that he hasn't practiced to the stage other than fire element and water element. Fire dungeon and water dungeon, I heard that in Wuying village, the land of water, there is a blood succession limit that can use the combination of these two escape techniques, just like the combined ninjutsu performed by Naoki and Mikoto during the ninja test. Like that. Oh. Naoki and Mikoto still remember that under Satoru's arrangement, they used the combination of water escape Shui Luanbo and fire escape Hao Fireball to create a large area of high temperature water vapor. The blood successor limit is called boiling. If you see such a ninja on the battlefield, you must be careful. Except for the ninjas who are too young and rely on blood inheritance, the ninjas who have blood succession limits, those who have truly cultivated themselves all show that the other party is at least at the level of Jounin. The change of nature will make chakra have elemental attributes, and the change of form will make the attack method of ninjutsu more flexible and changeable. Orochimaru explained to the three of them seriously. Typically, one is the chakra line used by the puppeteer to manipulate the puppet mechanism, and the other is the chakra scalpel in medical ninjutsu. Everyone is not very familiar with the puppet master, but the chakra scalpel, the rope tree and Satoru who have seen Tsunade use it are very familiar. I won't talk about medical ninjas. If you are interested, you can go to the hospital in the village as a volunteer, and you can see it. The hidden sand village in the Kingdom of Wind has very powerful puppet masters. The key to deal with them is those chakra puppet lines. Orochimaru taught them some unorthodox knowledge, and the war with Sand Hidden Village is almost certain. In case of encountering a puppet master, they can also deal with it. The combination of form change and property change can make the technique stronger. Changing the attack range, attack power, and attack nature of ninjutsu according to actual combat needs is the fighting quality that an excellent ninja needs to possess. From now on, even among all the jonin in Konoha, Orochimaru can be called the best group of teachers. Even Satoru has benefited a lot from the teachings of Orochimaru. In fact, controlling arcane power also has similar skills. Controlling the strength and scope of arcane power according to needs, as well as the types of shaping elements, are all necessary spellcasting skills for powerful mages. After Orochimaru's training, Shenshu has mastered the earth attribute in addition to the water attribute. Although he knew that the combined blood succession limit of Water Dun and Earth Dun was the Mu Dun of his grandfather's first Naruto, Naruto had no idea about it. But even so, he was already very happy. After all, if the Earth attribute cannot be awakened, there is no hope. Mikoto, on the other hand, is more focused on illusion. The three illusions taught by Orochimaru have been practiced by Mikoto very proficiently. As for Wu, he has his own ideas. So, he focused on the changing nature of the wind. At least from Orochimaru's point of view, Satoru successfully refined the wind dungeon chakra through hard training and with a bit of luck. And this is also a big backhand for Wu. Orochimaru, who is also proficient in wind and escape, is very happy to learn such a rare attribute. As for some ninjutsu of Feng Dun, Orochimaru also taught him generously. In addition to using the powerful long-range cutting ninjutsu to fight against the enemy and enhancing the power of the fire escape ninjutsu, there is another way to use the wind escape. Attaching the wind escape chakra to the weapon can greatly enhance the melee attack power of the caster. Therefore, it was time for Wukin's unstoppable cudgel skills to come in handy. For this reason, Wu also asked his father to find someone to help him use special chakra metal to create a long chakra stick. Although it's a bit expensive, but Dad has a way. Today's training ends here. After training for 2 hours in the afternoon, it was still early, so Yuan stopped training. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock sharp, gather at the entrance of the village, bring all the ninja equipment and necessities, and you will perform your first actual combat mission. Orochimaru looked at the three Satoru who had made great progress compared to those who had just graduated, with serious expressions. Mission Level A, escort my small caravan from the land of fire to the land of wind. A-level mission. The three of Wu were startled and looked at each other in blank dismay. Didn't you say before that they are generally B-level tasks? For B-level missions, the Zongnin must be dispatched, so let the three of them take over the A-level mission. Even with Orochimaru, the elite leader of the ninja, it is too. Don't be surprised, escorting the caravan, this is indeed a B-level task. Orochimaru took out a scroll, which is the information scroll used by the village to release missions. But now is the period when border conflicts have begun to occur frequently. You don't know where the so-called border conflicts refer to? Orochimaru opened the scroll and put it on the training stake, and the three of Wu came over. The border conflict is the country of rain. They want to expand their territory, so they not only expand to our country of fire, but also to the country of wind and even the neutral country of iron. Zisha replied that by now, border conflicts are no secret even among civilians. Of course people like Shenshu know it more clearly. Not only that. Wu frowned, and the first-hand information he got from his father made him know better than Shenshu. The sand-hidden village in the land of wind is also eyeing us, Konoha. They seem to want to take advantage of this opportunity to greatly weaken our Konoha's strength with the help of Yuyan village of the land of rain for profit. So in fact, what Konoha is facing is the threat of two hidden villages, Yuyan village and Cheyenne village? Mikan asked. Cheyenne is so confident? They are facing Yuyan village, Iron Country, and our Konoha at the same time. How strong is Cheyenne village? Hee, that's not true, Orochimaru smiled, and explained the information Konoha had detected to the three of them. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 38. Chapter 38, The First Mission. Cheyenne village currently has the intention that Wu said, but they will only take action when our Konoha is held back by Yuyan village, and it is best to suppress it. Orochimaru took out another small map and spread it out next to the mission document, on which the positions of the 5 major countries and the small countries were clearly marked. And before that, they will not deal with Yuyan village with all their strength, but will be passive and sabotage, and even take the initiative to create conflicts, and guide the forces of Yuyan village to us. Orochimaru swiped his finger across the border between the land of wind and the land of rain on the map, and clicked on the range of the land of rain. You all know that the 5 major countries are the 5 countries with the strongest national power, and their respective hidden villages are also the 5 strongest hidden villages. The 3 nodded, and Orochimaru continued, but that's just the overall strength. In terms of personal strength, Yuyan village has a man who is regarded as the current peak of ninja world. The vertical pupil shrank slightly, and Orochimaru couldn't help licking his lips, and the corners of his mouth evoked a sinister arc. Known as the ninja demigod, the leader of Yuyan village, Sanjiao Hanzo. Ninja demigod. Satoru smacked his lips, while Nakoki and Mikoto opened their mouths wide in surprise. Is this, stronger than the third Hokage-sama? The title of the first Hokage-sama was God of the Ninja World. Orochimaru chuckled and shook his head, but this demigod is far behind. 3 generations of Hokage-sama, although he has never fought against Hanzo, I think the teacher will only be stronger than Hanzo just because the teacher is so famous for being proficient in various ninjutsu. The title of ninjutsu professor conceals his strength. The reason why Hanzo is famous is not only because of his personal strength. Do you know how he got his title? Title? What title? Naoki and Mikoto were a little confused. Wu couldn't hold back for a while, and laughed. It's Sanjiao Fish. That's his title. His name is Hanzo, not Sanjiao Fish. Oh. Only then did Roki and Mikoto suddenly realize. Orochimaru nodded. That's right, Sanjiao Fish is Hanzo's psychic beast, even more famous than himself. This thing is highly poisonous. Combined with Hanzo's secret poison, it is not only a small-scale ninja duel, but also an extremely terrifying war weapon in a large-scale war. Hanzo has even defeated Iron Country all the way, but there is a neutral country with a not-so-good living environment, and Hanzo's move didn't take advantage of it. Although it is called the poison in Konoha Wang's gambling poison, in fact, Orochimaru does not use poison as the main means of attack. He just poisoned his ninja tools in a very insidious way. This poison means that his heart is poison. On the contrary, Tsunade, who is a medical ninja, has a deep knowledge of poison. After all, there is no separation between medicine and poison. Besides, the environment in Yuyan village is very special. Orochimaru pointed to the sky. There are almost no sunny days there, and it rains constantly all year round. Fighting in that environment, Yuyan's advantage is very obvious. That's why Hanzo is so confident, and at the same time launched a war against Konoha and Hidden Sand Village. Enlightenment stroked his chin and nodded. What Orochimaru said was basically the judgment made by Konoha's high-level officials for so long in the border conflict. That is to say, our mission this time not only has to pass through the Land of Rain, but we will almost certainly encounter ninjas from Hidden Rain Village, and we may also encounter ninjas from Hidden Sand Village who are actually hostile? Naoki and Mikoto came to their senses. This is simply a military exploit sent to their door. It's no wonder that Yuyan and Cheyenne let them complete the task with peace of mind. That's right, the mission objective needs to cross 2 conflict zones, so this time it's a genuine A-level mission. Orochimaru nodded slightly, and was very relieved to see that the students did not show the slightest fear. However, originally this kind of task would not be capable of being performed by your mere ninja. When it comes to mere ninja, Dashimaru has a strange expression on his face, but he clearly knows what level these 3 ninja students are now. That is to say, during the war period, there is no Chunin exam. But the small caravan that needs to be escorted for this mission actually has only 3 people to be precise, only the caravan owner and his steward, and the other person is his escort warrior. The 3 of Wu Wu widened their eyes. A caravan of 3 people? That is to say, the goal of our mission is to protect the caravan boss, butlers, and guards. Without continuing, Orochimaru sneered, when necessary, take your own safety as the first priority. Satoru frowned. The current Orochimaru obviously didn't take the weak seriously, even if it was his escort target. What he cares about now is only the lives of his companions, but in the future. But isn't Wu himself the same? Desperately completing tasks or something, he. How, are you confident? Certainly. Shang Shu patted his chest confidently. We practice so hard, it's time to test the results. We will definitely complete the task. Mikoto also said firmly, I will definitely not discredit Uchiha. Mikoto is full of confidence. Brother Fuyu has recently taught many combat skills of the Uchiha clan. Moreover, Mikoto also learned from Fuyu that the Uchiha clan as a security force could not appear in this war. The Uchiha people who are not members of the garrison are actually restricted, and most of their strength and talent are not up to standard. So, as the only Uchiha who can appear on the battlefield at this stage, to some extent, Mikoto's performance is Uchiha's performance. I will definitely live up to Brother Fuyu's expectations. Mikoto secretly made up her mind. Orochimaru and Satoru looked at Mikoto calmly. Orochimaru was personally informed by the 3rd Hokage Hirozuru Sarutobi, so he naturally knew what was going on. Although Satoru doesn't know very clearly, everything will become sensitive when Uchiha is involved. Okay, let's talk about it after meeting the client tomorrow. I hope there won't be too many blind guys disturbing our mission. Satoru nodded. Although it was an A-level task, in fact Orochimaru was not at the same level as ordinary Jounin. With the addition of their 3 unusual ninjas, this A-level mission is actually possible. Enlightenment just admires the businessmen who are still doing business at this time. Wherever the danger is, they really want money but not life. Very well, then, disband. After Enlightenment went back, he went to meet 3 little friends, Akimichi Choza, Narashika-isa, and Yamanaka Kiki. They also need at least 1 month of actual combat training before they can be assessed. The 3 friends expressed their envy and hatred towards Wu. For the children of Konoha, it is an extremely honorable thing to be able to go to the battlefield and fight desperately to protect the village. But in fact, Wu, who was forced to go to the battlefield ahead of time, was the most helpless one. But since it is necessary to go to the battlefield, let's wait for the rest to come back alive. Enlightenment chatted with the 3 of them, leaving enough special magic bread for Dingzhou before saying goodbye and leaving. Early the next morning, the 3 of Wu came to the entrance of the village. Not long after, Orochimaru came with the entrustor of this task, the wealthy businessman Mr. Ito, his housekeeper and guards. The first mission of Satoshi's ninja career, and also the first A-level mission, is about to start. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 39. Chapter 39 The Client. Mr. Ito, a wealthy businessman who initiated this commission, is a shrewd-looking middle-aged man. He was carrying a suitcase with a precious look, and he could tell at a glance that there should be some important things in it. His butler is a thin old man with white hair. His expression is very flat. It seems that as long as he is by the master's side, he doesn't care what kind of dangerous place he is going to. The guard next to him was a tall and strong samurai with two swords hanging from his waist, looking very capable. It was when he looked at Xiangwu and the other three with a strong disdain on his face. This combination dares to go to the frontier battlefield, how big is the business? Satoru silently complained, watching Mr. Ito frown slightly. Satoru, Nakoki, Mikoto, the mission starts now, so first of all, let's make a plan for this time. Orochimaru seems to want to be the hands-off shopkeeper at all, and nothing is arranged. Seeing the bewildered expression on the client's face, Orochimaru smiled. Mr. Ito, please rest assured that these three are my excellent students. As a teacher, I have absolute confidence in them. Besides, there is me, the elite, who is holding back the battle. I will point out if they are inappropriate. Then I'll leave it to you, Jonin-sama. I'm willing to pay such a high price, but it's for your name. Mr. Ito took out a handkerchief to wipe off his sweat, and tightened the box in his hand. Orochimaru is a disciple of Hokage, an elite Jonin, with the name of a genius and excellent mission records in the past. He is a supermodel among this group of Jonin who stay behind to teach. Therefore, Mr. Ito gritted his teeth and made up his mind, and paid a high price to win the escort of the Orochimaru class. Now is the time of war. If I can, I don't want to go to the land of winds at this time, but if I don't, my property there will be confiscated. This is absolutely impossible. Mr. Ito gritted his teeth fiercely and said. The guys from the Kingdom of the Wind are simply unreasonable. Taking advantage of the war, they actually want to deprive me of my property and use it for military expenses. The three of Wu Wu looked at each other in blank dismay. Yes, it turned out to be the case. Then the pressure from Sand Hidden should not be less. If Cheyenne was trying to count such foreign businessmen in order to guarantee the cost of the war, then they should use appropriate methods to avoid the occurrence of the victim. It depends on Mr. Ito's assets. However, I remember going from the land of fire to the land of wind, and it's okay to pass through the land of rivers, right? Why do you have to pass through the land of rain, which is in a state of war? Wu pointed out an important point. The country of Sichuan is sandwiched between the two countries of wind and fire. It doesn't have its own hidden village. Isn't it better to go? Because the land of rain still has my property, I need to go there to obtain a document before I can go to the land of wind. Ito smiled bitterly. If it is not necessary, I don't want to take risks. Everyone understands it, no wonder it is so troublesome. Naoki and Mikoto gave Sogo a tacit look, and the latter scratched his head with a helpless expression. Cough, then Ashimaru-sensei, I'll make a plan. Orochimaru nodded slightly. Wula looked back and forth at the client and his party, and touched his chin. Mr. Ito, right, your suitcase is very important? That's right, this is another important document. Without them, I have no way of proving my ownership of the land of wind property, and even if I go there, I can't keep them. In a country at war, is this kind of document useful? Sheng Shu expressed his doubts. Regarding the industries of businessmen from hostile countries, the Wind Country Congress cares about documents. It is normal to pull to confiscate. The war is always going to end. Mr. Ito forced a smile. If they look too ugly, who would dare to go there to do business? So if the border is blocked and I can't go back, they can do whatever they want, but if I go back to host, the Kingdom of Winds won't lose face for my little bit of industry. I see. Naoki nodded and glanced at Wu, indicating that he had no doubts. Wu raised his eyebrows and continued, that is to say, the enemy can also achieve the goal by destroying the documents. Our goal is to escort you and your documents, Mr. Ito, and obtain the documents in the country of rain. That's right. Mr. Ito was stunned for a moment, then nodded, but couldn't help becoming more nervous. Don't ask for extra money. No, just don't worry. Orochimaru's words made Mr. Ito relax. Konoha is still very particular. If he adds money at this time, he dare not refuse. Then I continue. Enlightenment nodded, glanced at the old butler and the warrior guards, and laughed. Mr. Samurai seems to have a problem. Snored. The middle-aged samurai, who had been holding back his words, slapped the scabbard heavily when he heard that he was enlightened, and said with disdain. Little brats who haven't even grown hair yet, the boss is willing to hire you and I have always opposed it. If it weren't for the elite Jonin-sama leading the team, do you think you are qualified to appear here? It's fine if I don't speak. The boss is the boss after all. I can't change his decision, but you still doubt it? Could it be that you are too arrogant? What the samurai said made Nakoki blush. Mikoto also frowned, but Orochimaru and Satoru kept smiling. The old butler still looked like an old god, but Mr. Ito raised his brows and cursed angrily. Bastard! Sanada! Is this the time for infighting? Apologize to the ninjas. The samurai Sanada was born in the Iron Country, a samurai he hired at a high price not long ago. Because the war between the country of iron and the country of rain was more miserable, Sanada has seen the horror of ninjas in the country of rain. It doesn't matter, knowing the strength of your companions is also very necessary before starting the mission. Orochimaru waved his hand and nodded to Samurai Sanada. Then, Mr. Samurai, my disciple, Mito Mongo, challenges you as a ninja. If Wu wins, please follow Wu's command throughout the process. The Samurai Sanada's complexion changed, and he felt the pressure from an elite ninja like Orochimaru. Junin-sama, are you serious? Of course, that's how I originally arranged it. Orochimaru glanced at Ito with a tangled complexion, and the corner of his mouth slightly hooked. If you win, we will refund all your commission fees and escort you to the land of winds for free. Good. Glancing at his boss, Sanada found that Ito was just wiping his sweat and didn't object, and immediately understood that the boss was tempted. It's a deal. Holding the scabbard in his hand, Sanada looked at Wu with a sinister smile. Little ghost, this is what Jonin-sama said, now I regret admitting defeat, there is still time. Otherwise, I won't guarantee that you won't be injured in a real fight. Well, it's okay, come on. Wu sighed, so the client who brought his own guard was troublesome. Wouldn't it be enough to pay honestly and listen to the arrangement? If you have to jump by yourself, why don't you go to the border by yourself if you know how to jump? This samurai is also a third-rate guy in the Iron Country, otherwise he could come out as a mercenary when the war between the Iron Country and the Rain Country is not good. The warriors of the Iron Kingdom, because of their powerful swordsmanship and chakra-attached weapon fighting skills, are not very popular with ordinary ninjas. One-on-one duels, ninjas and samurai of the same level are unpredictable. But, the dual-wielding berserk battle is against Fei, it's still the kind that can't charge and intercept. Since you insist, don't cry when you're hurt, kid. The samurai Sanada said coldly, being looked down upon by a kid who looked no more than 10 years old made him outraged. I don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth. Guardians of Tirisfal of Konoha. Author, Ziujian. Chapter 40. Chapter 40 Crossing the Border. Then, the challenge begins, life and death are at your own risk. Orochimaru took a meaningful look at Mr. Ito, who was embarrassed and couldn't help wiping his sweat, and announced the start. Arrogant brat, let me teach you how dangerous the outside world is. The samurai Sanada drew out 2 katana swords and held them in a 2-sword style posture. Chakra was attached to the swords, full of powerful power. Well, thank you. Satoru sighed and waved to the samurai. Bring it on. Smelly brat. The samurai Sanada turned hard, kicked his feet, and rushed towards Wu, who seemed unprepared. Shockwave. Boom. Sanada, who had just approached Satoru, was directly hit by a ring of flames and flew into the air. What's this? And when Sanada was knocked into the air, Satoru had already completed the next spell. Transfiguration Pig. There was an unspeakable silence, and embarrassment permeated the scene. The tall samurai turned into a pink little piggy in an instant, circling blankly on the ground. The 3 of Orochimaru looked at all this with strange expressions, while the client, Mr. Ito, was about to drop his jaw to the ground. Even the old butler, who had been quiet all this time, showed a look of astonishment. No matter how many times I watch it, it's still extremely insulting. Sheng Shu looked as if he couldn't bear to look back on the past, and finally couldn't help muttering. But seeing Wu's gaze drifting over, he resolutely shut his mouth. Mikoto covered her mouth, trying her best not to laugh. The pink piggy is about to turn red, and the powerful chakra erupts from the piggy, and the angry warrior Sanada bursts out chakra in anger, breaking through the confinement of transfiguration. Mix. Mr. Samurai's voice was forced back. Wu waved his hand, and he turned into a little piggy again. You. Transfiguration Turtle. Finally, Mikoto couldn't hold back and laughed out. He, this is more insulting. Samurai Sanada's chakra strength is indeed not weak, and even after being deformed, the recovery speed of physical strength will be accelerated. But he didn't roll his eyes, and the direct chakra explosion put a lot of pressure on the meridian system. 2 times is already the limit. If it happens again, he might tear the meridians. This time he became a turtle. He felt severe pain in his meridians and dared not move anymore. Tisk, it seems that there is a lot of resentment, Mr. Samurai. Wu's hands ignited raging flames, and a fireball the size of a wash basin took shape in front of him. Is it baked? The tortoise's small eyes looked at the fireball, full of panic, but he couldn't speak, and he couldn't even run away. Cursing his lips, Wu threw the pyroblast in his hand far away. Boom! The violent explosion reflected Mr. Ito's pale face slightly reddish. The old butler next to him shook his head lightly and sighed. He took a step forward and bowed to Wu. Master Ninja, Sanada should have been taught a lesson. The little old man is bold, please accept the technique. Boss, you still have to spend the money that should be spent. Ito let out a long breath, and bowed to Orochimaru with an embarrassed expression. Junin-sama, please let your disciples spare Sanada. I will pay 20% more money as an apology to Ninja-sama. Ito's posture was very low, and the strength displayed by Satoru could almost be said to be second to none of the Iron Country warriors he hired at a high price. Jutsu that couldn't even break free, when that terrifying fireball hit it, or chopped it down with a single knife. Sanada was severely injured without any resistance. No wonder this Hokage's disciple, Ashimaru-sama, is so confident in handing over the task leadership to his disciple. Is this the strength of Konoha ninja? Children are so strong? Moreover, this is the youngest of the 3 children. With such a ninja escort this time, he was the one who took the big deal. Orochimaru nodded to Satoru, and Satoru cancelled the transfiguration, and Sanada slumped on the ground panting heavily. Standing up slowly with a face full of frustration, Sanada bowed to go. He understood that if the big fireball hit him just now, it would not be as simple as a minor injury. I admit defeat. It turns out that I am the one who doesn't know the heights of the sky and the earth. Master Ninja, for the rest of the itinerary, I will obey the command and have no objection. Wu nodded calmly and coughed lightly. Then, regarding the battle plan, I will continue. After cleaning up the third-rate samurai, Satoru continued to explain his mission plan to everyone. Under the arrangement of Wu, who had shown his strength, everyone had no objection, and after the preparations were completed as planned, they packed up and set off. At the outpost on the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Rain, Wu and his party showed their mission documents and entered the territory of the Land of Rain under the complex eyes of the Chunin in charge of defense. A-level mission, although Master Orochimaru is leading the team, such a young child is really too reluctant. These guys who started the war are really damned. The Land of Rain, as the name suggests, is always raining. In an inland country, water resources are incredibly abundant. The ninjas in Yuyan village have strong personal abilities and are very good at assassination. Therefore, despite the small size of the Land of Rain, it can often accept the entrustment of other countries to carry out various types of assassination missions, and has a good reputation. After crossing the border post, according to Satoru's arrangement, all members of the team wore hooded raincoats, and the three of Mr. Ito were no exception. This kind of attire is not uncommon among civilians in the country of Rain. In order to take care of the speed of Mr. Ito and the old housekeeper, they did not walk fast. Not long after leaving the outpost, it was already getting late, but they were still in the border defense area of Yuyan. Tonight is the first difficulty. I will be in charge of vigilance. Teacher Orochimaru, please create a hiding place with Tudun. After choosing a small mountain bag, Satoru began to make arrangements for the overnight stay. Orochimaru has already handed over all the command to Satoru, so it is natural to obey the command at this time. Using the ready-made small mountain bag, Dashimaru directly dug a curved passage with the soil, and walked in first to expand the space inside. Mage's Eye. Wu set up monitoring measures at the entrance of the cave, and was the last one to walk into the cave. After a while, the three figures came near the entrance of the cave and looked at each other. Using Earth Dungeon to open holes, these ninjas are really arrogant. This is a three-person patrol team of Yuyan village, composed of 3 Yuyan Chunin. They were wearing the iconic breathing masks, and the speaker was the squad leader. He looked at the opening of the hole, and there was a flash of anger in his eyes. This is still a border defense zone, and the one who opened the hole is undoubtedly the Konoha ninja from the Land of Fire. But this kind of behavior is like slapping Yuyan in the face. When Orochimaru opened the hole, he didn't hide it at all. Even in rainy days, when the line of sight is obstructed, the Yuyan ninjas can easily find this hole. Can you perceive how many people there are? The captain turned to his companion, who was a perceptual ninja, who opened his eyes and said solemnly. There are 6 people, but 2 of them are very weak and should be ordinary people. But, one of them should be an elite jonin, very strong.